Yes, sir, audible.
Okay. So in morning, as we have finished that Oldham's coupling, that is the inversion of third inversion of double slider crank mechanism, we have finished that unit. If you do any query related to that all unit, you are free to ask right now, or you can type your query. Is there any query? Just a minute. Hello. Just 23, 21 students have joined. Till other people are going to join, if you have any query, you are free to ask. Before going to next unit, so we have started our unit with the definition of link, and we have seen its types. Then afterwards we have seen joints, that is pairs. Then with the link joints, we have seen chains. So again we have seen different types of chain. Then after that we have seen kinematic chain. In that kinematic chain, how it becomes kinematic and what are the basic requirements for the having kinematic chain, that we have seen. Later on we have seen mechanism, and we have calculated minimum number of links which are required for that forming the mechanism. And later on we have seen for bar chain mechanism only with single slider and its inversions. And when we are going to convert two links in form of slider, then it becomes double slider crank mechanism, and we have seen its inversions. Any query about this? This we can say as a review of all that unit. If you do any query, you please rise, or you can type in comment box. Shall we proceed further? By considering that you don't have any doubt. Hello? Okay, then we'll proceed further. One more last point which is there in this unit that we will finish. Till students are joining. Can you see screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this point that is called as Greshoff's law that we are going to see. So this Greshoff's law is related to the 4-bar chain mechanism. So in this case, we'll draw first 4-bar chain. Suppose we are going to have one link like this, which is connected to the other link. This second link is connected to the next link. And one more link is there. So these 4 links are connected with each other and we form a 4-bar chain. Now in this chain, this Greshoff has invented his law that if you want to have the total rotary motion of any one of this link, normally what we have seen in the 4-bar chain that either the one crank can rotate and other links are going to transmit that motion. Am I right? So this is the case. Now in this case, what Greshoff has found is, and he later on published as a law, that if suppose this 4-bar chain mechanism is there and if suppose you want to form a complete rotation of any link, then what he has found that to have the complete rotation of any one of this link, it requires that the summation of shortest and longest link should be less than or equal to remaining 2 links length. What it means? So we'll see first what this Greshoff is saying. First of all, we have to find what is the or which link is having longest length and which link is having shortest length, right? Then we can find its law. So once again, I will repeat that the length of longest link plus length of shortest link is or should be less than or equal to length of remaining or summation of remaining two length or two link length. I will put this law here. Can you see screen?
Yes, sir.
Can you see this slide and can you read it? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, okay. So what the Gresham's law is saying that Gresham's law states that for four bar linkage system, this is four bar linkage system, if the sum of the length of shortest and longest of the planar quadrilateral linkages. Quadrilateral means this we are going to have these four links, that is quadrilateral links, and this is planar mechanism, works in one plane only. Okay, is less than or equal to the sum of the remaining two links. Then the shortest link can rotate freely with respect to the neighboring link. With respect to neighboring links means remaining two neighboring links. Okay. So first of all, we'll say that this red or pink link here, I'll say, is having shortest length. So here we'll say this link as a yes. We'll name it as a yes. Yes is the S stands for shortest length. Okay. I'll give name to each point. We'll say that suppose this is A point, and likewise four different points are there. We'll say this point as a B point. Okay. Then this point as a C point, and this point as a D point. Okay. So link AB is having length equal to S. This BC is having length equal to L1, we'll say it. It is having length equal to L suffix 1. Okay, L1. And likewise, this black length or black link AD is having length equal to L2. Okay, and CD is having, sorry, this CD is having L2 length, and AB is having length equal to L. Okay, where S is the shortest length or shortest length link, and AD is longest length link. So what he is saying, that this S plus L, it should be less than or equal to this L1 plus L2. So I'll write here mathematical formula for that. What Greshops is saying, that he is saying S plus L should be equal to or less than it should be less than, sorry, it becomes greater than or equal to, and need less than or equal to length of remaining link, that is L1 plus L2. So if this is achieved, then and then only it is possible to have complete rotation of shortest link, that is AB link. Then this AB link will rotate. Otherwise, if this law doesn't get fulfilled, rotation, complete rotation, there will be motion, no doubt, because we have calculated that degree of freedom for this 4 link and 4 joints, that is turning joints, we are going to have degree of freedom equal to 1. So it will be a motion, but rotation, complete rotation of any link is not possible if this law doesn't get obeyed. And if this law gets obeyed, then shortest link will rotate completely about its center of rotation. That is, here we can say A is the center of rotation, and with respect to A, this AB link will rotate completely. Getting me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now this AB link will rotate only when this law get fulfilled. Getting? That is called as Greshoff's law. Okay. Once again, I will state Greshoff's law states that length of or summation of length of shortest link and longest link in 4-bar chain mechanism should be less than or equal to length summation of lengths of remaining 2 links. Then the shortest link will rotate freely about its center of rotation or with respect to remaining 2 links, neighbor links. And other links will transmit their motion as per the dimensions. Any question related to this? Hello?
No, sir. No, sir.
Do you have any question?
No, sir.
No. Okay. So on this Greshoff's law, there may be possibility that we will have some MCQs. So it is important from the exam point of view also. And if time permits and if you come to college, that is if government permits, then we can verify this law because we are having such mechanisms in which length of shortest and longest link we can measure, and again remaining two links length we can measure, and we can do calculation and we can verify whether that links are going to rotate or not. Okay, so with the help of that mechanism we can verify this law. If you come to the college, so here we have finished this unit. If you have any question, you are free to ask. You can text it later on. You can mail me on my mail ID or you can call me on my mobile. Okay. If you have any question. So shall we move further? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll stop presentation of this screen and I'll present second screen. Can you see screen? So unit number 2 is related to the velocity and accelerations in mechanism. As previously we have discussed that once you find or once you understood what the mechanism is, then later on we have to move further and we have to calculate some kinematic parameters. These kinematic parameters are nothing but we can say displacement, velocity, acceleration, then jerk. These are kinematic parameters. Why we are calling it as a kinematic parameters? Because it is related to the motion, and kinematics is the study of motion only. Getting me? So before starting this unit, let us see what the syllabus is, which is stated by the university. So in front of you, the slide which is showing the syllabus, that velocity and acceleration in mechanisms. So we have to find the velocity and accelerations in the mechanism. Then velocity analysis in mechanism by following graphical methods. There are two different graphical, okay, all are the graphical methods. Even you can calculate the velocity with uh, analytical method also. But with respect to analytical method, graphical methods are easier. So we are going to use graphical method only. And with these graphical methods, we can find the velocities of different points which are in the links or interested points which are in the mechanism, that we can calculate its velocity as well as acceleration. So relative velocity and acceleration method, it is added by the Coriolis component of acceleration. This is one different concept, Coriolis component of acceleration. We'll see what the Coriolis component is and how we can calculate the Coriolis component of acceleration in the given mechanism. And second one is Clean's construction. Now this Clean's construction is only applicable for the slider crank mechanism, single slider crank mechanism. For rest of the mechanisms, this Clean's construction cannot be used. But it is giving some what we can say shortcuts, and within shorter time we can calculate the velocity as well as acceleration in the slider crank mechanism. And it has been invented by Clean. That's why it is called as Clean's construction for finding the velocity and acceleration in the mechanism. Now, books which you can refer for this unit also is better book is Ratan SS, which I always suggest to all. And remaining all books are there which you can refer if you do have Bansal RK, that is Theory of Machine by Lakshmi Publications, or Balani PL, Theory of Machines by Khanna Publications. You can refer Khurmi and Gupta book, that is Theory of Machines by S. Chand Publications. And apart from this all books, you can refer book of Shigley, that is Theory of Machines and Mechanisms by Shigley, which has published by McGraw-Hill's publication. And if you do have that copy, you can refer it. So it is very better book. Even it is good than Ratan. So if you go on reading only that by Shigley's book, you will find that it is just like novel, and one by one all concepts you will get clear. No doubt that mathematical formulas and derivations are there, but you will find it as a novel. Okay. This is what related to the books which you can refer, which you can study. Then assignment has already in the study material, I have provided you that assignment booklet. From that assignment booklet, you can choose 6 questions and you can solve that questions. It will be assignment for this second unit. Okay. Choice is up to you. So it will be different for different students. You can choose any 6 questions. Okay. So it will not repeat it, or it will be not unique for all. You can choose whichever maybe you like. Okay. So different questions will be provided to you, which will give us idea of what we can say, which questions you are going to select. No doubt that the student who has understand the concepts and all that mathematical formulas, he can choose some difficult questions. And if a student like me, if I have not understood it, then I will choose some simple questions. Okay. From that, one can understand that slow and advanced learners too. As we can find that slow and advanced learners based on your unit test result also. After completion of this unit, we are going to conduct unit test number 1. Even we are going to conduct ISC also. ISC will be based on these 2 units, unit number 1 and unit number 2. Now, second thing which we are going to see the title of this unit. Title is Velocity and Accelerations in Mechanism, or Velocity and Acceleration in Mechanisms. So, mechanisms, what the mechanisms are, that we have seen in unit number 1. Here I will define only velocity. The velocity is nothing but it is a rate of what we can say mathematically, it is a rate of change of displacement. Okay. So specially refers it for the movement of any component or point from one point to another point. And with respect to that displacement, if you are goes on measuring the time, and if you divide that displacement or distance travel with respect to time, it will become velocity, right? This velocity words comes from Latin word, okay, that is velox, is called as fast. So from that it has derived, and it has become velocity. So velocity, that is nothing but now in our daily life also we are going to use this term, but in different manner. That is how fast the bike is, that we are going to say, or with what speed. Speed normally we are going to use word for that velocity. So speed is 60 kilometer per hour, means that velocity is 60 kilometer per hour, because the rate of displacement with respect to time that you have calculated in that case. So it is called as velocity. And second word is acceleration. We all know that acceleration is nothing but rate of change of velocity. That is, again, we are going to say double derivative of displacement in terms of mathematics. If you take the derivative of velocity, it will become acceleration. And as the velocity is the derivative of displacement with respect to time, so it will become double derivative of displacement with respect to time. It will become acceleration. If you are going to take the third derivative, it is called a jerk. Okay, later on we'll see what the jerk is, but we'll stick here with velocity and acceleration. That is single derivative of displacement and double derivative of displacement. Okay. Next point is central idea of this unit. Already I have told you that central idea of this total that is course is that we are going to dealing with the displacement, that is moving parts of any machinery or mechanism, and from that we are going to find what the forces are there which are responsible for that displacement. As far as this unit if you are going to consider, then in this unit we are concentrating on velocity and acceleration. And while concentrating on velocity, first of all we will concentrate on the velocity, and that velocity we will calculate with the relative velocity method. Because what we have seen, all the animations of the mechanisms, in that animation we have seen that all links are having motion, but with respect to that neighboring links. That is, with respect to some neighbor links or some stationary links, that all other links are moving. So if you calculate the rate of change of that displacement, that movement, then it will become velocity. Now one can ask question that why it is necessary to calculate the velocities. Is it not possible that we can study only motions? So let me tell you one thing, that velocities are required to calculate because we have to calculate the acceleration. One can ask that why accelerations are required. Why we calculate the acceleration or retardation. Then second thing is that if you want to calculate force, then acceleration is required because Newton has stated that force is equal to mass into acceleration. If mechanism is understood, if you understood the kinematics of that mechanism, then we have to calculate its inertia also. Because if suppose one has find that reciprocating mechanism and he want to use it for the developing power, that is by burning fuel on the top of that piston with closed cylinder, and you want to give motion to that piston, that reciprocating motion, and if that reciprocating motion you want to convert into rotary motion, so definitely you will use slider crank mechanism. Nowadays all that two-wheelers and four-wheeler engines are using slider crank mechanism. So in that case, if you are doing so, then what we have to calculate, that if suppose you burn that fuel which will not be capable to move that piston from top dead center to bottom dead center, because the weight of remaining all components which are there in that slider crank mechanism are so heavy that the fuel force is not capable to do it. Then what you will do? So for that, what you have to do first is that you have to calculate the inertia forces of piston, connecting rod, crank. And these inertia forces you have to overcome, because when you are going to start your vehicle or two-wheeler, at that time you are going to use starter, means that you are going to overcome the inertia of that all components and you are bring them into motion. And Newton has stated that once any mass is coming in the motion, then it will remain in motion unless and until external force is not applied. But if it is at rest, it will remain in the rest unless and until external force is not applied. And how much that external force is required? That force is required equal to mass times its acceleration, which you want to develop. So for that purpose, you need to calculate the acceleration so that you can go back and you can find the mass. Suppose we take the slider crank mechanism and we make the piston with 3 kg, then you can say the 3 kg as a mass and you want to develop 40 meter per second square as acceleration, then 3 multiplied by 40, that will be the force which is required to overcome the inertia of that piston. And above that inertia, if you apply force, that will be utilized to overcome the inertia of remaining all components as well as for doing the external work. So that is why we need to calculate the velocity as well as acceleration. And in this unit, we are going to find that velocity with graphical method and with relative velocity method. As well as acceleration also, we are going to find out from velocity. Because once you find the velocity, next step is that to find the acceleration. That also we are going to find with the help of graphical method only. Got it? The next point is that about the importance of this unit in the subject syllabus. Now, once you understood the basic things which are required for the mechanism, that is link, joints or pairs, then the chain, then kinematic chain, then mechanism, and its inversions. Once you understood all these things, we have to go to the next step and we have to find the velocity and acceleration in that mechanism so that we can make this skeleton as a working model and we can achieve next step as a machinery where the power source is required and output work will be there or some output will be there. So that it has included in our syllabus that once you understood the mechanism and all other its components, then one can go for calculating of velocity and acceleration. And after this unit, we are able to define linear, rotary, and relative velocities and accelerations in the mechanism. Then convert between linear and angular velocities and accelerations. How we can convert that linear velocity into angular velocity, linear acceleration into angular acceleration, that we'll be able to do. Then use of relative velocity and acceleration method to graphically solve for the velocity as well as acceleration of points on the link. That is, we will be able to find the velocity of interested point as well as acceleration of interested point with the help of graphical method. Then use of relative velocity and acceleration method graphically to and analytically that we are not going to use this analytical point. That's why I'll skip it. And last one, you will able to find the Coriolis acceleration. That is, first of all, you will understood what the Coriolis component is, what the Coriolis acceleration is, and later on you will be able to find the Coriolis component also in the given mechanism. When this Coriolis component will occur, when this Coriolis component will be comes into existence, that all things you will be able to handle. Okay, these are some outcomes from this unit. So today what we'll do is that we'll stop here. Okay, there will be next lecture and that will be of FM. So we have completed one unit and just we have started second unit. So we can see in further details all the points for the second unit. Okay. Any question? If you have a question up till now, you are free to ask.